Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Donovan, and tonight I'm excited to share with you what I believe are the absolute best AirPod clones you can pick up right now. These are the Air 2s. They are from Nokis.com, so I'll leave a link down in the description if you're interested in checking them out. This is a obviously unwrapped package. The actual Air 2s are right over here, and we're just going to compare them up to the actual AirPods second generation. So they are a second generation AirPod clone, not the first generation AirPod clones like the i30s that I previously reviewed. And these are pretty special. There's a lot of things that these things have to offer that make them very compelling in comparison to the AirPod second generation. So we're going to go ahead and run through those. So real quick, I have actually done a video where I compared these already, but the video I did was comparing this version right here. So this is the Air 2 TWS. So that's the video I previously made, but notice there is a second generation kind of or updated version of the Air 2s. And really the only difference here is that pop-up window. So with the previous version of Air 2s, again, they were AirPods second generation clones, but the version we have today from Nokis.com is the pop-up window version. So it's $4 more on their website, but the biggest difference is you actually get that pop-up chip just like what you would get with the H1 chip if you're using them with an iPhone. Now, unfortunately, I won't be able to show you that part of it because I am using them with a Pixel phone, so I won't be able to show you that pop-up window, but I can assure you it does work because I used them previously with an iPhone, but I unfortunately sold it recently and can't show you that comparison. But what I can show you is how similar these are to the actual AirPods. So you'll have to kind of ignore the fact that, yes, I keep them in my pocket all the time, and so they are a little bit dirty, but you'll get the point here. So this is the Air 2s. These are the knockoffs. These are the actual AirPods second generation. So one of the things you'll notice as far as the case goes is over here we have lettering from Apple, and if we can get that into focus, you can see it says designed by Apple in California. Over here you can see that it's missing that. This one's a little bit more shiny here in the back, and it is a little bit lighter actually, so you can actually physically feel the difference. And then these ones are a little bit more white, where I think these are a little bit more off-white. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera, but a little bit different there. But you can see they both have the LED, and one thing that's really cool about the Air 2s that was also previously available in the previous version of Air 2s is they do have the charging case. So you can see that they do a pretty decent job of trying to make them look just like the actual AirPods. So the actual box itself looks very similar. It actually has the raised AirPods. So when you feel that, you can actually physically feel that raised. So that's kind of cool. So just like the actual AirPods, but you can see here, obviously they're not trying to like purposely mislead people. You're not going to obviously be able to sell them to someone as actual AirPods unless you really want to, because obviously it says Air 2 versus over here it says AirPods with charging case. So that's the second generation AirPods there. It says Air 2 here on the bottom, and then obviously you can see here on the back, while it does look similar, it obviously is different, but you can see they both say with charging case. So obviously that is a similarity as well. Now with the actual AirPods here, or with the Air 2s versus the actual AirPods, they do both use Lightning, so that's really cool. Again, they both wirelessly charge. In terms of physical size, they are identical. And in terms of the actual AirPods, so we'll pull out an Air 2, and we'll also pull out an AirPod. So you can see that physically, they basically are identical. It would be really difficult. It would take a pretty trained eye to really figure out the difference between the two. So this is an actual AirPod. This is the clone. So they basically mimicked everything. You can see maybe if you look really closely, that hole's a little bit smaller than the one over here. But in terms of the bottom, they did a pretty decent job down here as well. But you can see there's definitely a difference because this one has a little grill there, whereas this one doesn't really have that. And other than that, pretty much identical. Now, one of the things that makes AirPods special is that they do have that in-ear detection. So that's what this little thing here and this little thing here is. Now, these just have basically something that, you know, is a window there, but there's no actual in-ear detection with the Air 2s. But they are very good in terms of like actual listening and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and jump through those things real quick. So let's go ahead and take a look at what they have here on Nokis.com, just some of the features. So they do have an H1 type chip. So they do let you know that it's not the actual H1 chip, but it will give you the pop-up window for connecting if you use them with an iPhone, just like you would with a regular pair of AirPods. So as soon as you open them up, they're going to go ahead and give the pop-up window with an iPhone, and then you can go ahead and connect them just like you would with AirPods. So again, it's not the actual H1 chip, because the H1 chip is obviously made by Apple specifically. So you do get that pop-up window. They say improved sound bass quality, and I'm not sure what they're comparing that to. But what I will say is that in comparison, if I were to give someone a pair of the knockoffs and then have them listen to the actual AirPods, there is a slightly noticeable difference. I do think that the actual AirPods have a little bit more rich, full sound. But overall, I'd say like AirPods, they're not the most amazing sounding headphones by any means. I'd give them like a 4.2. They do sound good, but obviously, with them not being isolating any kind of noise, you're not going to get the best sound quality out of them, but they're still very good. Over here with the Air 2s, I give them like a 4. So it's just not as rich and full of a sound, but still, I would say overall, very acceptable sound quality. Especially when you're spending a whole lot less than you would on the actual AirPods. So that is one thing they mentioned here, faster connection speed. So that is definitely true, because these are using Bluetooth 5.0. They will connect basically immediately as soon as you open up the case. So I think right now, so right now there's no connection to my phone, but as soon as I open them up, they should connect immediately. There you go. And they even do say AirPods on, so when you go to look them up, on your Bluetooth connection. So it'll automatically go into pairing mode as soon as you open them up. Obviously, if you use them with an iPhone, it will pop up that window, but you can see that they are actually called AirPods when you open them up. So that's kind of funny. And then as soon as you shut the case, you can see that they do disconnect there as well. So super fast connection speeds. They do stay connected to each other very well. As far as increased battery life, again, that's kind of in comparison to what? Well, let me just kind of compare them up to the actual AirPods. So actual AirPods, you get about 5 hours on a single charge listening to music, and then they say 3 hours of talk time. It's basically, they say the opposite here with the Air 2s. So they say 3 hours of music time, 5 hours of talk time. Now, I don't know anybody that talks on the phone that much. So I haven't been able to test out the 5 hours of talk time, but I can confirm the 3 hours of music time. So that is definitely true. So obviously, in terms of what you're probably going to use them most for, definitely the AirPods are going to give you a lot more battery life. So in comparison to some other knockoffs for AirPods, these definitely do get better battery life, because, older AirPod clones only got like 2 hours of battery life, even 1 hour, but these give you up to 3 hours of music. And then of course the case itself will give you about another 4 full charges, giving you about 15 total hours of battery life, whereas with the actual AirPod you get about 25 hours. So 15 versus 25 hours of battery life. So battery life has improved, but it's still not there in comparison to the actual AirPods. And then they say many subtle issues with previous versions have been fixed. So yeah, that pretty much covers it all. Now they actually say down here that they get 4 hours of playback time. That I'm probably not going to say that. I have definitely not gotten 4 hours. Again, I'm getting more like 3 hours of playback time. Now, they do mention that they wirelessly charge in about an hour. One other just slight issue that I'll mention, because some people will obviously, if you're using actual AirPods, so actual AirPods when you use them on a wireless charger. So let's go ahead and just show you real quick. So I have a little portable wireless charger here. So I go ahead and place them on there, and you'll see that the little green light does, if I can get it into focus. So it is wireless charging, and you can see that they are actual wirelessly charging. And now we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the clones. And they went ahead and wireless charged. Everything looks the exact same once they're actually ready to go. That'll be green instead of red. So they basically mimic exactly what the actual AirPods do. Now, the difference is you will notice an actual physical heat in the back of this case. What you don't actually feel that with the actual AirPods. So there is that. I know for some people, that's going to make them feel a little bit more cheap, but again, you're spending a whole lot less. And I do have coupon codes listed down below as well. So definitely check out those coupon codes. But other than that, these are really a fantastic, I think, if you're looking for the best pair of AirPods second generation with charging case, knockoffs, these AirPod 2s or the Air 2s from Nokis.com are definitely, I think, the absolute best option out there. So that being said, let me know if you have any questions down in the comment section. If there's anything maybe I didn't touch on, which I can already think of one thing I didn't touch on, which is this phone call quality. Basically, this has been true with most of the knockoffs. The phone call quality is not is what you're going to get on the actual AirPods. AirPods are actually really good for phone calls. I found it doesn't really matter if I'm in my noisy office. They're really great. I use them all the time in my office for phone calls. These I would not use in that situation. They still do a decent job of picking up my voice. The other person on the other end has no problem hearing me. But unlike the AirPods, they don't cancel out as much background noise. So the person on the other end will be able to hear phone calls in the background. So hopefully that covers everything. If you have any questions, again, leave them down in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Hope this video has been helpful for you, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.